Archaeologists often dig up bones from hundreds, thousands, or even millions of years ago. These remains tell us a great deal about how ancient humans and prehistoric animals, such as dinosaurs, lived on Earth. The question is, how do bones survive the decomposition process? Why don't they decay? In fact, bones do decay, albeit very slowly. Our soft tissue, like muscles, fat, and connective tissue, are decomposed through cellular death and microbial decay, but bones resist such decay due to their structure. Bones are made of two components: cells, making up approximately 5% of the bone's volume, and the extracellular matrix, which accounts for the rest. This extracellular matrix is composed of organic matter and is primarily a matrix of the protein collagen, as well as various minerals, chiefly calcium, which accounts for 50 to 70% of the bone. The secret of the bone's decay resistance lies in the last two components, collagen and calcium. Collagen is a very stable protein designed to give support and structure to tissues like bone. Collagen and other structural proteins, such as keratin, the protein our hair is made of, resist decay due to their linear helical structure, as well as various amino acids, the building blocks of protein, that form them. Within the bone, collagen forms a matrix and, along with calcium, it makes our bones extremely sturdy and resistant to decay. Within bones, calcium is found primarily as hydroxyapatite and is bound to the collagen within bones. This association between the protein and minerals gives bones added strength. When the decomposition process begins, mere minutes after death, cells of the body die through cellular death, called autolysis. This is the primary form of cellular degradation. At that point, microbes, especially those in our gut, no longer kept in check by the immune system, will begin to break down the remaining organic matter. However, this process doesn't take place in extremely cold conditions, since microorganisms can't grow in such freezing climes. This is why the bodies of climbers who have died on Mount Everest are perfectly preserved, even serving as ominous landmarks for new climbers. For most bacteria and fungi, eating bones is a real challenge. First of all, not every microbe can break down collagen. Specific enzymes, called collagenases, can digest collagen, but only certain microbes produce it. Second, even if a microbe produces collagenase and other proteases, enzymes that break down proteins, they can't reach the collagen protein due to its interaction with calcium. Despite this, most bones will decompose, although it might take many years. There isn't a standard estimate for how long bone decomposition will take. Different bones, depending on their calcium content and structure, will decompose at different rates. Teeth, for example, tend to survive decomposition very well, since their outer enamel coating is very hard and contains very little protein, if any. The external conditions also affect bone decomposition. Very dry and hot conditions tend to preserve bone incredibly well. Dry and arid conditions usually slow bone decomposition, since many microbes can't survive such dry conditions. Alkaline soil is also known to preserve bone well, since it prevents mineral leaching. Bones preserved in many archaeological sites remain intact for a combination of these reasons. Acidic soil, on the other hand, increases the rate of decay. This type of soil helps dissolve the minerals within the bone, thus exposing the organic matter. No matter what, over time, minerals will leach out of the bones, and physical factors and microbes will break down organic matter. Certain fungi can tunnel their way through the bone and break down collagen. Eventually, the bone will break down to nothing but minerals, which will then get integrated into the soil. So what about the dinosaur bones that we see in museums? They're millions of years old and have managed to somehow survive the test of time? Actually, while those structures may look like bones, the remains aren't true preserved bones. They are actually stones in the shape of bone. Once all the organic matter has been degraded, the mineral shell remains, making the bone into a kind of stone, also known as a fossil. This process of fossilization starts when water carries minerals, like calcium and iron, into cavities of the decayed bone. The minerals settle there, fortifying the pre-existing minerals within the bone. Over time, all that remains is stone that has taken on the precise shape of the bone. So, all those T-Rex skeletons aren't actually made of real T-Rex bones. they're just fossils. With that being said, in extremely rare circumstances, some organic material manages to survive over the course of millions of years, such as the preserved cells that were discovered in a dinosaur skull in 2020. The resilience of bones has helped countless forensic scientists discover evidence about victim identity or how they might have died. It also helps archaeologists and historians understand the past, of how the natural world and our own human existence has played out. The clues left behind in these bones and fossils can reveal to us how a creature, human or otherwise, may have lived and died. In life, these bones support us and give structure to our otherwise soft bodies. Without them, we would be amorphous slugs. Even in death, they support our knowledge of the world around us, as well as its rich and varied past. Finally, even if bones don't survive long enough to tell us their history, they help to replenish the earth and the bountiful life forms that call it home.
If you like this video, then please leave your comments below and subscribe to our channel for more animated stories on the science in our lives. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon to never miss an update from us.